There is no easy way for me to tell you this, but Florida is in trouble. But I doubt it's in trouble in the ways that you would expect it might be in trouble. I don't think there's anybody out there that is not concerned about the housing market crash that could happen. In fact, I don't think there's anybody anywhere who doesn't share that same concern. But if the potential for that crash is the main thing that everyone is focused on, then I suspect they are going to be completely blindsided by the trouble that's happening right now. As a boots on the ground operator of a high performance real estate team that is constantly making content on YouTube talking about the housing market, I get phone calls from people from all over the country, all over the state, and all over the world with questions about everything. And in an effort for this not to be a 10-hour video, I'm not going to tell you about every single conversation, but I am going to highlight the key conversations that I've had this week because I'm fielding phone calls from people who are experiencing trouble right now, which will take years to show up in housing market data. And I've read your comments, so I am going to do a deep dive analysis into the metros that exist within the state of Florida so that you understand what's happening right now in all the major metros. And while it's critical to understand what the hyperlocal market dynamics are in an area that you may be thinking about buying or selling in, the Boynton Beach homeowner who gave me a call this week couldn't care less about any of that because she just got a bill from Citizens Property Insurance for damn near $10,000. And this Boynton Beach homeowner didn't even want to be with Citizens in the first place. But she had no choice, just like many homeowners have no choice, because her previous insurer, which was Universal Property and Casualty Insurance Company, refused to issue any more policy in certain markets within the state. But this nice lady is in real trouble and she is in a total panic, which is why she called, because she had budgeted and accounted for a premium of $3,200. But now she's standing down the barrel of Citizens' gun in the form of an invoice for damn near $10,000. Her new premium is 3 times more expensive than what she had budgeted for. But she was completely oblivious to the massive increase because she pays for her mortgage, her property tax, and her insurance through an escrow account. But when she realized the new bill is damn near 10 grand, she instantly realized that she's short 4 grand. And they were completely blindsided by this new financial distress, this new trouble. And I give her a lot of credit for being so honest with me because she didn't have to give me so much detail. But the truth is, these are not wealthy individuals. And both she and her husband work, but she only makes $15 an hour. $15 an hour. And they were completely terrified about how they're going to pay this bill. They thought they might have to dip into their retirement funds. And I can promise you, they're not sitting on a massive boatload in their retirement fund. And while I'm not an accountant or a financial advisor, I suspect there's going to be some major tax penalties if they do so, which turns a bad situation into an even worse situation. But thankfully, she reached out to me and I was able to provide a solution because after I learned a little bit more, it became pretty clear to me that Citizens didn't have all the information that they need in order to bring down their premium. It was pretty clear to me that Citizens was not aware or did not take into account some of the recent things that they had done to improve the insurability of this property and reduce their premiums. And I was able to connect her with the right people and the right resources, which would significantly help her and help her stay in the house. Because if she was stuck with this $10,000 bill, chances are she would be forced to sell. But with an updated inspection and a wind mitigation inspection, Citizens dropped the premium from 10 grand to damn near 4. And depending on what your situation is, that might not seem like that much money. It might not seem like that big of a deal. But those actions saved her home. And more importantly, preserved her lifestyle so that she can still afford to live there. But Citizens Insurance is in significant financial distress. Citizens is not capitalized the right way, and they are looking to increase insurance premiums by up to 50% if the home is not your primary residence, which is no bueno for a lot of people who like to come here for the season, because non primary residents are about to pay a hell of a lot more for home insurance. But primary residents can expect an increase in their home insurance premiums by about 13%. And while that's not going to impact everybody the same way, I can tell you it does mean that Florida homeowners are in trouble if they are feeling personal financial distress, which is not going to be everyone, but it will be a lot of people. And unfortunately, there are plenty of folks right now that can afford to pay whatever these new increases are. And some of them are in trouble too.
2.5 weeks after we paid our initial premium, and just as the hurricane season had begun, we paid that $3,900. Still haven't seen a cent of it yet back. We were notified that our company had filed for bankruptcy. We contacted our agent, who got us in touch with Citizens. Citizens insisted on a roof inspection, and they told us that we required a new roof and that it would have to be constructed within 3 months. We checked with the area roofers. They told us there's a 6-month wait for materials. So it was a big catch-22. And we're sort of left holding the bag without any insurance. We're going bare. And when the senator said, Senator Berman said that Floridians are paying so much more, we'd like to be able to pay a premium, but we've got no place to go to get insurance. And that's our problem.
My heart goes out to that gentleman. But unfortunately, what he said about it being his problem is not actually true. Because if the state of Florida suffers a major devastating hurricane, and I'll self edit here, it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. When the state of Florida suffers from a devastating loss caused by a hurricane, the state will step in with statewide assessments to subsidize the losses because they simply don't have the right amount of capital to cover them by assessing homeowners throughout the state, which is a long way of saying that Citizens' ass does not have to cover the check that its mouth wrote out. Instead, it will be my ass and your ass that pays the bill. And that is no bueno. And if you think that's bad, just wait, it gets worse. Because I also got a phone call this week from a real estate professional who happens to be a Condo Board Association member. And I often make the mistake of thinking that other people think like me. And I've come to learn that that is almost always never the case. But this lady called me in a total panic, and she is petrified because the Condo Association and the buildings that are a part of it need a recertification of their 40-year inspection. And they do not have the capital reserves in order to cover the roofs. And she's in a total panic because she knows the balance sheets. And she's not just terrified about the totality of the capital reserves and the fact that they don't have enough money to cover the new roofs. She's terrified because she's a real estate professional and her business has gotten decimated over the last year. She personally cannot cover the individual assessments which will be handed out due to the capital reserve shortfall. And while I'm sure she has some measure of concern for everybody else, she's really most concerned about herself because she does not have the money to pay any additional assessments. And I got news for you, she is not alone. There are lots of condo owners that are going to be hit with assessments which they can't afford, which means they're either going to have to figure it out or they will be forced to sell. And none of that is showing up in any of the housing market data that you look at today. But I can promise you it's coming. And if any of this rings true to you, if you or anyone you know has a roofing issue, and I'm talking about residential, commercial, any structure within the state of Florida requires a recertification, a 40-year inspection, or thinks they might require a new roof or roof repair, please contact me directly because I will put you in touch with someone we know, like, and trust that services the entire state of Florida, any structure, no building is too big or too small, and save you a tremendous amount of time, energy, frustration, and money. I will connect you with the best of the best in the state of Florida. Shoot me an email or text me at the number that's on the screen, and I will connect you right away. And I'm going to do a deep dive into the numbers so you know what they are as of right now in today's market in many of the metros that exist within the state of Florida. But I'd be completely irresponsible if I didn't also share the conclusion of the story that I talked about the other day, where I think it's likely that my buyer's contract was not accepted because the agent was looking to double dip and get both sides of the deal. And to be clear, I don't know that to be true, yet I have a suspicion that it could be true. It's yet to be determined. But my client, who has been shopping for a home in Boca, who has been stalking the market aggressively, looking for the deal that he can score to get out of his lease because he knows he's just throwing the money away, found another home in Boca yesterday. And so we got into action instantly, and we wrote up a much more competitive offer instantly. And there are lots of games that I can play in order to give my buyers a competitive advantage in a competitive market. And while we can sit here and talk about the housing market crash that may happen in the future, as of right now in Boca Raton, there is no crash. There are very few deals, and any property that remotely resembles a deal gets bought instantly or damn near it with multiple contracts. But unlike the last story, this story does have a happy conclusion because we just got that puppy under contract. And I'm certainly not going to try to break my arm to pat myself on the back on this one. That's not the reason I'm sharing it. I'm sharing it because the agent, who is also the owner, tried to play a different game, which is equally as shady as what I suspect the previous agent did. And although I was born at night, I wasn't born last night. And when an agent tries to get slick and tries to have me negotiate against myself, it tells me everything I need to know about what to do next. Because the number one rule in negotiating is you never ever negotiate against yourself. And because this contract was just executed today, I'm not going to go into a big story about how I intend to negotiate moving forward. That will be on another video in the future. But what you must know is that the home that he is selling for damn near $600,000 was bought less than a year ago for $400,000. The agent, who is also an investor, is going to net somewhere close to $200,000, which is all the evidence that I need to know for certain I'm in the wrong business. And while that's not entirely true, I love what I do and I love the service that we provide because I genuinely love helping people find their dream home, dream lifestyle, and getting them the best deals. I also am aware that I've been completely ignoring a side of the market, which I refuse to ignore anymore. And if you've been watching for a while, you know that I've been talking about some of the issues and some of the trouble that I've been facing as it relates to this particular platform, which is why I've pivoted to Twitter, where I can never be censored. So please follow me on Twitter. But if you're interested in participating and watching me build a business from scratch, primarily built on utilizing creative financing solutions, then please become a patron and check me out on Patreon because I intend to go off about all of the things that I'm not able to talk about here, but most importantly, showcase and highlight how I build a real estate business from scratch. I will document every single step of the process from start to finish, from building out the corporate structure to identifying and analyzing deals, exactly how I identify and target and generate the leads, and every single step throughout the process, showcasing each and every creative financing solution that there is, which creates a win-win for both me and whoever the potential seller is, from contract to close and each and every individual step along the way. And I intend to scale this business. I intend to bring in investors. I intend to grow every single element of the business and bring everything in-house, which I can run, manage, and control. And I'm fully aware that there's some risk inherent in this. It could be a massive failure. I could potentially make a complete fool of myself, but I doubt it sincerely. And yes, I'm aware there will definitively be a painful learning curve. But if you've seen any of the content that's on the Patreon right now, you already know that I love that pain. That's how I learn. So I intend to show everything from soup to nuts. And frankly, I haven't been this excited about building something new in a very long time. I suspect this is going to be the most fun that I've had in a very long time. And I hope you'll join me in this journey because I will go off. Now, if you've been watching for a while, you know that I've shared in the past that it only took 10% of the overall housing market to be in distress to bring down values by 30%. From a national perspective, those numbers were far worse depending on which market that you're in. But given the amount of equity that exists right now within most Florida housing markets, I don't suspect that we're going to see distress sales anything anywhere near close to what we saw during the last crash. And while it eventually might happen that way, I doubt it sincerely because I believe the institutional money, which is sitting on the sideline, opportunistically waiting to get involved if and when that happens, I suspect the banks who do not want to be in the real estate business will simply package them and sell them to investors, institutional investors. They will be packaged up, sold, or securitized, and the general public will never get an opportunity to buy those homes unless they're out there hunting for them aggressively, like I intend to do on Patreon. Which is why it's critical to watch and see exactly what institutional buyers, institutional investors are doing. Are they buying? Are they selling? Are they holding? Or are they patiently waiting and building up cash reserves in order to deploy that money at the right time? And I'd love to be able to tell you that I've got inside information and that I've got some secret relationship with some of these institutions, but I don't. And trading on inside information is illegal. So anybody ever telling you that they've got inside information, just know that they don't. And whatever the thing is that they're telling you to buy or trade on because of it is most likely a scam. But you don't really need inside information to see what these institutions are doing because they're telling us. They're advertising it. And there's a metric shit ton of cash on the sidelines waiting to find its home in real estate. But please do not take my word for it. Go research and verify it for yourself because anybody can tell you anything and the numbers don't lie. Which brings me to Big Papa Powell back in the house. Great news. The Fed has decided not to take action and they're holding off on interest rate hikes. They're holding off on increasing the Fed funds rate, which to be clear is a nothing burger. But let's see what Big Papa Powell has to say.
Early last year, the FOMC has significantly tightened the stance of monetary policy. We have raised our policy interest rate by 5 percentage points, and we've continued to reduce our securities holdings at a brisk pace. We've covered a lot of ground, and the full effects of our tightening have yet to be felt.
Well, that's for damn sure. We certainly have not felt the full effects of the tightening policy, but what we have felt so far has been cataclysmic. Commercial real estate is getting devastated. Banks are failing left and right, and there will be more bank failures. Mortgage interest rates are damn near 7% if you've got perfect credit, but they're going higher too. And lending in general has basically fallen off a cliff. Do you know how many lenders I know that are in the industry that are leaving the industry because the refinance market is no longer there? We're talking about people who made millions of dollars that can no longer afford to cover their monthly nut. And although there have been lots of layoffs that have happened in many sectors across the economy, wait until you see what unemployment looks like when the full force of the tightening policy is felt. Because the truth is, I don't think there will be 10% of the housing market which will be distressed sales forced by a bank. But I do think 10% or more of homeowners will be unemployed or getting paid far less. Meanwhile, interest rates continue to go higher, their credit card debt continues to uptick, and their savings is nowhere to be found. And the housing market is very unlikely to crash because banks are forcing sales, but it's very likely to crash if the consumer is facing personal financial distress. And if the numbers are as big as I suspect they're going to be, and the unemployment rate is closer to 10% than wherever it is right now, which I also don't believe is accurate, if everyone is suffering from that pain or that fear or that panic right around the same time, the supply side will skyrocket. And the demand side, depending on which market you're in, will disappear. And those of us who are fluent and opportunistic and understand creative financing will be able to provide solutions for those distressed sellers, which allow them to win, which allow them a better alternative than what the market yields. And while it won't be right for everybody, it will be right for a lot of sellers. And they'll be able to walk away with their credit intact, cash in their hand, and depending on what the circumstances are, essentially turn them into the bank and make them the new lender at a very attractive and profitable interest rate. And I know that's going to happen, which is why I'm documenting the process on Patreon. So please join me in the journey and let's go off together. If you've been watching for a while, then I probably sound like a broken record. Housing and housing market data is lagging. Home prices are the last thing that fall during an economic crisis. And while Powell kicked the can down the road and didn't touch Fed funds rates for now, he also went on to say that he doesn't intend to do any rate cuts for a few years. And the odds of a July rate hike are at about 61%, according to experts. But the market is always right. And the stock market prices in change instantaneously. And right now, the market is pricing in more rate hikes in the future. But the 2-year treasuries tell me everything I need to know about where the Fed intends to go as far as interest rates are concerned. And bond yields moved higher and in some cases turned positive for the day after the Fed signaled that it could hike rates 2 more times this year. I got news for you. More rate hikes are coming. But unfortunately, May housing data is not coming from the Florida Realtor Association for about a week. And yes, I'm aware that it's June, so May's data is not particularly helpful if you're looking to make a move right now, but it is the best data that I have for right now. And as you can see on the map, I've got the home value index by county as of May 2023. But to be clear, it is not hyperlocal. So if you are shopping in one of these metros and you want to be connected with an all-star professional that can absolutely advocate and negotiate for you the right way, then please reach out and we will connect you with someone we know, like, and trust, an all-star that can absolutely get the job done and advocate for you and negotiate for you the right way. And if you're in my market, call me because we would love to help. And I pivoted from SnapForce because I don't think it gives as much detail as the ReVenture app. But to be clear, as cool as this particular app is, both of those apps, SnapForce and ReVenture, are relying on the same data, which is provided by Zillow. And Zillow data is old and almost always inaccurate, but it's close enough to be instructive. So let's look at the Miami market. And what you can see is that the home value growth month over month is on the uptick. And while it's not a massive gain, it is still in the green, price growth month over month is basically half a percentage point. Well, half a percentage point over the course of 12 months, something similar to what I've been predicting for the last year, which is single digit appreciation for the near term, up until the black swan event happens. But up until that happens, it's going to be single digit appreciation across the board in most markets within the state of Florida. But you can see on the graph, Miami up half a percent, with the median home value being just under 480,000. Well, 480 at 7% with a median household income of 61,000 is probably not sustainable. And if we look at Broward County, it tells you a similar story with month over month price growth of 0.66%, with the median home value being a touch over 414,000, but the median household income being closer to 68,000. If you're a homeowner in Broward, you're probably feeling pretty good about the fact that your home appreciated close to 9% over the last year. But if the median household income is only 68,000 and mortgage interest rates are at 7, 8, 9, 10%, it's probably no bueno for a home buyer in this market. And if the pain of recession becomes worse and the sellers are feeling financial distress and they're living above their means, well, I don't suspect that 68,000 is going to go very far if somebody loses their job. Which is why at some point you can bet your sweet bippy there's going to be an uptick in supply everywhere. Which takes us to Palm Beach County, Florida, which is the county in which I live. And what you can see is that price growth month over month is 0.32%. Year over year, it's 6.2%. The median home value in Palm Beach County is damn near 459,000. I can promise you that home values in most of the markets that I service are significantly higher than the median home price because the median value is the middle term in the range of numbers being considered. The average sales price is more instructive because most of my clients who are shopping in markets that I service are looking to buy in newer developments and they're looking to buy luxury updated homes that are in resort style communities. So while it is factually true that the median home value is somewhere close to 459,000, the average sales price in most of the markets that I service is much closer to $1 million. But that number can be significantly higher depending on the location of the product that you're looking for. But I can tell you, if you're looking to be on the beach or live a coastal lifestyle, then you can bet your sweet bippy it's going to be significantly more than $1 million. Which takes us to Martin County. And in Martin County, we've got price growth month over month of 0.41%. And the year over year growth is 4.2%. The median home value in Martin County is damn near $461,000, and the median household income is $73,000. Up until it's not. Which takes us to St. Lucie County. And St. Lucie County is on the downtick month over month, with a loss of 0.27%. Year over year, home prices are still up 3.3%, but the median home value is $370,000, which is supported by the median household income of just under $63,000. And before I get too far ahead of myself and work my way all the way up the East Coast, let's address Monroe County. Monroe County price growth month over month was 0.31%, and home price growth year over year was just under 6%. The median home value in this market is a touch under $958,000, supported by a median household income of just under $77,000. Which takes us to Collier County. And price growth in Collier County is up almost 0.4% on a month over month basis. And year over year, it's up 6.1%, with the median home value coming in at $594, supported by a household income of $79,000. Up until it's not. Which takes us to Lee County, which, as you can see on the map, is the county which Cape Coral is located in. But you can also see that month over month, price growth took it on the chin and is down 0.65%. And the supply side has upticked 123%. And although home price growth year over year is up 2.7%, median home values come in at 375 and change, supported by a median household income of $66,000, which may seem reasonable if we're looking at median values. But please understand that most of the markets that you're actually shopping in are not going to be trading at the median sales price. And the average sales prices will not be supported by the median household income, which is what it is. If you're patient and you're opportunistic and you are capitalized the right way, I suspect there will be many opportunities to take advantage of, which is why I am now on Patreon and I intend to go off. So please join me on my journey as I build my own real estate portfolio and show you every step of the way. Which takes us to Sarasota County. And in Sarasota County, we have month over month price growth of 0.05%. And year over year, it's 4.5%. But the active inventory is skyrocketing and the median home value is at 460 and change, supported by a median household income of $73,000. Now, Sarasota County, which I just visited, I can tell you that there's a massive distortion between the median and average sales price, which is always the case. And I don't say that to challenge you in any way. I'm sharing it with you because if your expectation is that you're going to find a nice, new, modern luxury home for 460, you're out of your mind because they don't exist. They trade significantly higher. And the average sales prices in most markets that most people reach out to me to buy in are going to trade significantly higher. And I can promise you, they're not going to be supported by a median household income of $73,000, which does not mean that there aren't homes that trade in the 400s, because there are. There's just not a lot of them. Which takes us to Tampa and Hillsborough County. And what you can see is that the month over month price growth dropped by 0.03%. And home price growth year over year is 1.7%. Home values, median home values, 381 and change, supported by a household income of 67K. And Pasco County tells a similar story with price growth month over month being down 0.01%. Year over year, it's up 3.3%. Median home values coming in at just under $340,000, supported by a household income of $61,000. Which takes us to Orlando in Osceola County, which you can see by the map is in the central part of Florida. It's the central part of the state. And month over month, prices dropped by 0.05%. But year over year, they're up 5.5%, with the median home value being $372,625, supported by a median household income of $61,000, which is great if you can find a home at that price. But I suspect if you're shopping in a market like many of the markets that I visited in Osceola County, you're likely shopping for a home which is double that price. And I'm using ballpark figures because the average sales price is significantly higher in Osceola County. And when the Florida Realtor Association does release the most recent data, I will share what that is. But we're going to have to wait for another week or so. And Orange County, Florida tells a similar story. You can see what those numbers are. I'm not going to insult your intelligence, and I don't want this to be a 10-hour video, which it seems like it's turning into. But Brevard County is on the uptick month over month with the gain of 0.10%. And you can see what the rest of the stats are because they're right there on the screen. But shout out to my folks in Lake County who often ask for market updates. This is what we've got so far. Month over month in Lake County, price growth 0.03%. Year over year, 4.3%. You can see the rest of the stats, and I'll give you more current stats as soon as they come out. But this is what we've got for now. Daytona Beach, Flagler County, on the downtick month over month, down 0.38%. And for the year, eking out a small gain of 0.6%. But you can see what the stats are, and so far, no bueno in Flagler County. Which takes us to Jacksonville and Duval County, and month over month, downtick of 0.25%. Year over year on the uptick of 4.5%. You can see what the rest of the numbers are and be on the lookout for when the real numbers come out, because I will share them as quickly as I possibly can. But I can't do a market update of Florida without sending a shout out to Squirrel Tribe 2.0 and at Kevin 24/7, my friends who are up there in the Panhandle area, and talk about the Okaloosa County market. But you can clearly see in the data that month over month, Okaloosa County is up 0.16%. And for the year, it's up 4.1%. And yes, I know I didn't cover every single county that exists within the state of Florida, because this would make a long video, significantly longer, and I respect your time. But I do want to address the common misconception that many people have, which is that the rental market is crashing. Because in my local market, the rental market is not crashing. Now, overpriced rentals are not renting, but by and large, the rent trend is on the uptick, as evidenced by the map that you can see here. And in the right upper hand corner, you can see that decrease is in red and increase is in dark green. And what you'll see throughout the state of Florida is a sustained pattern up through May of 2023 of increased rents. And honestly, it's across the board. And I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time here because you can see for yourself. But the dark green parts of the map are significant increases, and the lighter green are less significant increases. But by and large, they are all on the uptick, which is great for the landlord. And it's no bueno for the tenant. Up until the music stops, up until the market crashes, up until the system breaks, up until there's a black swan event, we can expect to see likely much more of the same. But when people are in pain, when people are in financial distress, when there is a major uptick in unemployment, I can promise you those numbers are going to change, and they will change fast. Up until that happens, it's going to be second verse, same as the first. And we're going to wrap this thing up, but we're going to wrap it up strong, because right now I am showcasing my hyper local market. I'm showcasing the zip code of 33473, which is primarily the Canyons communities that are located in West Boynton Beach. It's only single family homes. I've excluded any other product type. And what you can see is the most current data that exists. Unlike the data that was sourced from Zillow, this is sourced through the MLS. And what you'll notice is that so far, current versus previous month to date, up to and including June 14th, is that the active home price on the market currently for sale is down 2% relative to last month. But the average sold price is up 12.9% from 963 to 1,087,000. Double-digit appreciation in June so far in my hyper local market. And if we look at today's stats, current versus the same month to date a year ago, massive whopping appreciation. Average sold price up 27%. And if we do current versus previous year to date, more of the same. Average sold price on the uptick to the tune of 11.5%. Double-digit growth. Up until it's not. Now, I hope you found this content valuable, and if you did, please subscribe to the channel, give it a thumbs up, share it with a friend, follow me on Twitter where I can comment back to all of your comments and not be censored, but more importantly, become a patron, and check me out and participate in my journey on Patreon, because I go off. If you're thinking about buying or selling, then please reach out, because we would love to help. And check out my next video, because I suspect you will love it a lot. And until next time,